Hello, Ellie here with WhoCulture. Doctor Who is next month. The 60th is next month. Nobody panic, next month. Oh my goodness. As you know, we have had some new trailers for the 60th, and there was a particular moment in these trailers, in more than one of them, but we'll get into that particularly grabbed my attention and the attention of the WhoCulture team. And it led us to a rather dark theory about what we might see in these specials. So we're going to just take a little look at that, tell you what we think, and you can let us know if you think we are completely barking up the wrong tree or if we're onto something. But before we get into any of that, make sure that you've hit the subscribe button. There's so much new stuff happening with Doctor Who that you really don't want to miss anything. So subscribe button, please. Okay, so let's set the stage a little. We know that the villain, or at least one of the villains of the 60th anniversary specials, will be the Celestial Toymaker, played by Neil Patrick Harris. Or we may have a curveball thrown in there because, let's be honest, he's been advertised just as the Toymaker. But it's probably the Celestial Toymaker, let's be honest. But let's just comment that now in case it all turns out to be a massive curveball and I can go, see, I was on the ball. So if you're not familiar with the Toymaker, and to be honest, a lot of people aren't, given that the only story that he appeared in is mostly missing from the BBC archives, basically he's like Doctor Who's Riddler. He makes people play games where the odds are stacked high against them, and these games usually have kind of deadly consequences. Don't play Connect 4 with this guy, or Twister. It's not going to end well for you. I don't think it's going to be pretty. So there's even this really cool shot in the trailer, which is my personal favourite of the most recent one, where we see this huge vision of the Toymaker kind of puppeting something. And speaking of the Riddler, this shot looks exactly like one of the Scarecrow nightmare sequences from Batman Arkham Asylum. Does that mean anything? I don't know, but it's interesting to note. But basically the implication is that the Toymaker is pulling the strings, either in part of an episode, or in a full episode, or maybe even across all three of the episodes. Which brings us to our theory, which is about the scene where the Doctor is screaming, "Why does it have to be this?" Thank you very much. And he's kind of banging his hands against the wall and he's very distressed. We don't often get to see the Doctor this angry. Now, personally, I love it when we do because it's something different, kind of out of character, and it creates some of the best Doctor Who moments. You know, think about the Colonel Runaway speech, or when 9 is yelling at that Dalek, or 12's war speech. Mwah! Golden. Now, 14 actually seems quite scared here, almost like whatever's happening is so bad that he doesn't want to face it. And the specific wording of "why does it have to be this?" well, that implies familiarity. It's like it's something that he's experienced before. So what if the Doctor is being forced to live through past events, past traumas, dark moments in some kind of twisted game, and there's something that he sees in this game that just completely makes him lose it? One of the kind of main reasons that we think that this theory may actually be true is plain and simply that it's the 60th anniversary. The whole point of this is that it's a celebration of the show, looking back over the past 60 years, and although it would be a pretty dark way to do it, maybe this is how we can have some cameos from previous Doctors, previous companions, previous villains. Maybe the Toymaker shows him Susan and kind of taunts him about how he promised he'd be back and then just left her behind. Or even losing Melody Pond at the Battle of Demons Run. I mean, look, here's the thing. Yes, it all worked out in the end, and it was River's song, whoop, and they all lived happily ever after. Although, did they really? Truth of the matter is, Amy and Rory did not get to raise their child. Doctor, you didn't really help there. You said you'd save the baby, you didn't save the baby. Guilt! Give him guilt! Since this is Ten's face, maybe we're going to see more of his companions. You know, maybe we'll see Rose and be reminded of that loss. No, please, no. No. We don't need to relive Doomsday as well. This is supposed to be a celebration. I don't want to cry for the whole time. So the other possibility is that they could have filmed new material with these actors so that, again, we can have cameos, but also the Toymaker kind of can hammer home his point. I did think maybe they could film scenes that are intended to be moments in the Doctor's past that we just as an audience didn't see, but I also felt like that might be cheating. You know, if we film all these new scenes, somehow have to just accept the fact that Rose no longer looks like an 18-year-old. The only other thing I can think of is if they are going to relive past moments, then obviously there's the possibility of using archive footage. The only way I can see that being beneficial and working is if they do something similar to what they did when they put Clara into the Doctor's history in the name of the Doctor. That worked. Or, you did have all of the Doctors in very brief form in the Day of the Doctor, but if they do that in any extended period of time in the episode, or do it multiple times, Ellie's not going to be happy because that's cheating. That's cheating, don't do it. So the other theory is that he is reliving past traumas, but kind of with an updated twist. So stick with me here. So one of the only times that we saw David Tennant get this distressed as the Doctor is right before he saves Wilf from that radiation booth in The End of Time. So what if he's kind of trapped in a similar situation here, but this time instead of Wilf being stuck, it's Donna who is stuck on the other side? The pain. Or what if Bernard Cribbins is in this scene and it's him that's stuck on the other side and it's literally just a repeat of the same scenario and he's got to make that decision again? I don't think my heart could take it. I really don't think my heart could take it. I mean, watching Bernard Cribbins in that scene the first time was heartbreaking enough. If you're going to make me sit through a reenactment, essentially, of that scene again, especially now that poor Bernard Cribbins is no longer with us, I just said it a minute ago, it's a celebration. I want to be smiling through these episodes, not crying my eyes out because of how traumatizing it is. Okay, so if you look at the "why does it have to be this" shot in the trailer, it does look like the Doctor could be trapped in some sort of enclosed area. But here's the kicker. There was a shot in the very first teaser that we got for the 60th at the end of The Power of the Doctor, essentially a year ago, of the Doctor sliding under a glass door, leaving Donna alone on the other side. And if you look really closely at these shots, I'm sure Danny will put them side by side for you to see, you can see that some of the set dressing in the background is the same. Specifically, there's a little ladder type thing on the outside wall. In other words, these two shots are in the same location, or in the very least, a very similar location. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Discuss. So if this is taking place in the second special, Wild Blue Yonder, that could make a lot of sense. Russell T Davies has stated that he wants to keep that particular episode as secretive as possible, which would make a lot of sense if it's the episode that contains all the cameos and surprises that you don't want to be spoiled. Past companions, previous scenes, reliving past moments of Doctor Who. You don't want everyone knowing about that, it's going to ruin it. I mean, in my head, I kind of have this idea that that episode in the middle could be kind of separate in a way to the other two, almost like a bottle episode. I have kind of in my head, like a Heaven Sent situation, or like the final Sherlock episode, The Final Problem, where it's kind of very focused on one character in one place, and it's like a deep dive of that character where they are subjected to tests and trials and games, which again would fit with the theory if the Toymaker is challenging the Doctor to force him into an enclosed room and give him no choice but to face his demons, as if you like. And that does make sense. I mean, in the first story that the Toymaker was in, the Doctor essentially defeated him. But at the same time, the Doctor stated that the Toymaker is indestructible. So if we're going with the theory that the Toymaker is getting his revenge on the Doctor, then what better way to do that than to literally force him to relive his darkest moments of his entire life? I certainly wouldn't want to be forced into a room and made to relive all my darkest memories. No thank you. It's twisted, but I kind of like it. This wouldn't be the first time that an enemy of the Doctor has kind of taunted him by reminding him how many people have been killed in his name. I mean, instantly I think about Davros in Journey's End, with the Doctor trapped in a force field, and he's like, how many people have died in your name? And we get that lovely montage of everyone from Series 1 to Series 4 who has died. As I said right at the beginning, the 60th is 1 month away. 1 month away. So what I would suggest doing if you haven't already also, is checking out the breakdown that we did of the most recent trailer, and we also did a follow-up discussion breaking it down even further. I've been Ellie with WhoCulture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.